I'm going to take my chalk like this, and I'm going to apply it to this eyelid area, nice and light, not too dark, of course, just nice and light like that. I'll put that chalk on there just like that, of course. Nice and light. And I put it right there on that top eyelid area. I know you will be surprised with my next step, but the next thing I want to do is to get out my index finger, also known as a nose exploring digit, and I want to take my finger like this, and with a circular motion, I want to spread out and smooth out my chalk, just like that. Now don't put that on there too dark, you want it to be put on there kind of light, of course. Now, this chalk is erasable, and I went outside my lines just a little bit on this eyelid here, so I'm going to clean that up just a little bit like this. I got it a little down in here too. You're going to end up with some chalk on top of your ink lines. Don't let that bother you too much. Okay, I'm going to clean it up a little bit right there too. So what you should have then on that eyelid is a nice, smooth, light color. Okay, let's keep on going with the bottom eyelid. Now down here, this is his bottom eyelid right here. So I'm going to put some chalk on it, like this. Right there. I just kind of brush it on. I don't draw it on dark. Okay? And I take my finger once again, usually my index finger, and I like to smooth it out like that. Light and smooth, as you can see there. With my eraser, I touch up a little bit, like that. Now notice here on this left side of his eyelid down here at the bottom, see how it kind of doesn't connect and his eyelid color kind of fades out into his face? That's cool, don't let that worry you. Okay, excellent. Let's work on the other eyelid area. Now, you don't want to be confused as to what part is the eyelid and what's the white of the eye. It's this upper part right here. So let's brush on some chalk in this upper area here, like this. And I'll bring that down a little bit like that. Again, put that chalk on light. Don't draw it too dark. Just kind of brush it on or kind of tap it on like that. I'll take my finger and smooth it out. Okay, I got a little chalk in the white of the eye right here, which I'm going to get rid of like this. Okay, it's looking pretty good. It's pretty fun and pretty quick to use the chalk. Okay, now down here is the lower eyelid area. I'm going to go ahead and brush on some chalk right there, like that. And with my finger, I'm going to smooth it out once again. Okay, got a little bit of chalk outside there, and again I take my eraser and clean that up. If you put your chalk on light like you're supposed to, it's erasable. You press really hard with it, it'll be difficult to get rid of the mark. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, now I want you to take that color that you have been using and put it back carefully into that set of chalk. Okay, very good. Alright, now the next color that I want you to pick, it should be one of your favorite colors since you're going to see so much of it. Okay? Now I want to say it again. There might be, for example, a couple different shades of green in your set. And if you like green as a color for a zombie, try and choose the light version of green, not the dark one. Okay? Light one. If you like something like blue, try and choose the light blue. Okay? Now for me, I'm going to use this little guy right here. This piece here is kind of this, I don't know, kind of a turquoise color. Okay, that makes me super happy. Okay. Alright, now I want you to work with me here, and let's work a little bit on his neck, and I'm going to take my zombie like this, and I'm going to turn him sideways. Okay, maybe about like that. And what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and brush on some chalk in this area of his neck. Okay? I like the word brush instead of draw because that usually means I'm going to put it on a little bit lighter. Okay, and you can see me start to put on this chalk down into this neck area here. Okay, let's put it on. So I like the chalk is because it's relatively fast, it's fun to use. I'll put it down something like this, as you can see there. Okay. I kind of like to work on the zombie in sections. So I put on some chalk in an area like this. And then I get out my finger, once again, and with my circular motion, I smooth it out. So it's very even, light, and especially unscribbled. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start that here. Now, my finger is a little bit bigger of a tool, and so I have a tendency to go outside my lines a little bit. That's not a huge deal. Okay, you can see my finger working in that circular motion like this. Okay, now listen very carefully. When I get down here near the bottom of his neck, what I want to do is this, is I want to push the chalk toward the bottom of my paper so that the bottom of his neck gets lighter and lighter, and so it kind of fades off at the end. Okay? I don't want a real dark line showing me where the bottom of his neck is. If I do that, it makes it look like somebody cut off the zombie head and stuck it on a piece of paper. But if I just kind of push the chalk down here like this, so it kind of fades away, and you can see my chalk kind of disappearing into the white bottom area of my paper, that makes it look a little better. Okay, now with your finger, feel free to press relatively hard with it as you're smoothing it out. And keep on using that circular motion that we've talked about before. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the rest of this neck area right here too with my wonderful piece of chalk. Okay, so I'll put it on here like this. You're going to get some chalk on top of your ink lines. Don't let that bother you. In fact, I'm going to give some, or set aside I should say, some specific time to do what I call re-inking. So don't let it bother you when you get some chalk on your lines. It'll have a tendency to make your lines turn a little gray. It's okay, don't let that worry you. Now don't forget, sometimes people forget that right here, this area also is part of his neck, and we want to add some chalk to that too. Okay. Now, if you compare the part that I've kind of worked on right here for this part that I haven't smoothed out yet, you can see a difference in texture. And so take that finger, circular motion, and smooth it out. Okay, so I'm going like this with my chalk. And I really want to smooth out my zombie. Do your best to keep your chalk in your lines, and remember, fade out the neck at the bottom. Fade that neck into the bottom of your paper so your chalk gets really, really light as you get down to the edge of your paper. Okay. Those chalk can be dangerous. It can get all over the place. You know, but I like to be really careful. Okay, I'm going to take a minute with my eraser. I got a little chalk outside his neck right here, and so I'm going to just clean that up a little bit before I get going too far. Okay. Now, I hope you're really liking the color that you chose, because I want you to keep on going with it and cover the rest of your zombie with this same color that you have been using. But pay attention so you're not confused. Right here, I'll turn them right side up so you can see. Right here, these are the whites of his eyes here. And we want to leave those nice and white. But the rest of your zombie should be color number 2. I call that color number 2. Okay, now I'm going to turn him and work on him like this, kind of sideways once again. Because the last thing I would want to do would be to rest my hand on my chalk. If that's going to be a problem, get out one of your pieces of scratch paper. That's a nice idea. Okay. Now what I like to do on the zombie is I kind of like to work on him in sections. So I'll work on the back of his head over here. And also I like to put my chalk on like this, you know, often in a circular motion, because I know this will make it smooth. Okay, so I kind of like to use a little circular motion like this here. I'll work on kind of the back of his head. I'm going to get his ear while I'm at it. Right there. The back of his head. Now what I'd like to do is put some chalk on an area. I think an area like this would be kind of nice. Like that. And then I'd like to stop with the chalk when I've got quite a bit of an area like that. I like to smooth it out. Okay, so again, I use my finger, and I use my circular motion, and I smooth out my chalk. Again, I'm going a little bit outside my lines of my zombie, but I'm planning to clean that up in a minute. Again, I'll say it, don't get too worried if you're getting some chalk on top of your lines. Don't spend any time today re-inking, okay? Now I know that some of my top artists are thinking, my zombie's looking kind of flat. I think I want to do some shading. And I want to tell you, resist that temptation. I have shading planned for you later, not today. So don't worry about it. So all I want you is to make him light, even, and smooth. And don't worry about having some areas dark, some areas light. We want the whole thing to be light and smooth. Okay. It doesn't really matter what part you're doing next. I'm going to turn my guy kind of upside down like this. I'm going to work on his forehead area. And see me apply my chalk lightly in a circular motion. You know, if I scribble my chalk on there, you know, like a horizontal or vertical line, I'll never be able to smooth it out. That'll be kind of disappointing. Okay, I think I'll stop there with that forehead area and do some more blending. Okay, there, it's looking pretty good. And hopefully on the camera you can tell the difference between the area that I've smoothed out and the area I haven't. And so I want the whole thing to be smoothed out. Nice and light. And even. And when I say the word even, I mean, you know, that there are not areas that are darker than others. There are not areas that are lighter than others. Everything appears to be the same light value. Now, right here, where his face touches his eyelid, where I have my pink coming together with this blue, just kind of blend those together like that. Don't worry too much about that. If an area is looking a little too light for you, go ahead and apply a little bit more chalk. But I think one of the most common mistakes that students make with their chalk is they put it on too dark. Okay, and that's something to be avoided. Again, just kind of a light application of it would be good. Okay, now I think I'll work on kind of the lower part of his jaw, mouth area next. I won't finish the whole thing right now. Put that on there. Maybe I'll do about that much, I think. I think that looks about right. Okay, and again, I've rotated my paper so that whatever way I'm working on it, my hand is not resting on a chalk area. Okay, so I expect you to work as long as I am on this chalk. So keep on smoothing it out for me if you're a little faster. Right down there in the chin. Okay. Really careful not to rest my hand on him. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I think I'll finish it off here with his nose and face, central face area here. And I'll put some chalk on it like this here. Now I really don't want my chalk to mix in with my first color. I don't want to do that, so I'm trying to keep those as separate as possible. A little challenging right by the eyes there. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Keep using that circular motion. And like I said, right here where I've got the face next to the eyelids, I'm trying to keep those chalk colors separated so they don't end up blending together. Alright, now I think that's a fairly nice application of chalk to my zombie, as you can see. Now, what I want to spend a couple more minutes on, I still expect you to work with me here, is to take that eraser and I want you to clean up all the outside edges to make sure your chalk has remained inside the zombie and that your chalk has not escaped into the background. So I'm going to take a minute and do that. Now, we want our chalk to be in a certain place, but we don't want it all over. You know, sometimes I get this assignment turned in, and a student may have like more chalk in the background than he did on a zombie. Then I'm like nervous to touch the paper, you know, because I might get myself all dirty or catch a disease. Okay, so I want you to clean up all the edges of your zombie before we're done on this great day. Now, on the other hand, if you erase inside your zombie, you're going to end up getting rid of part of your chalk, and you don't want to do that. So make sure you're controlling your eraser. Now, right here at the top of his head, I had a little problem there. You know, I got a little chalk outside his head. And so I'm cleaning that up ever so carefully. Now when I'm touching my paper, I'm trying to touch only in the white area, in the background. I'm trying not to touch my chalk. I'm really trying not to touch my zombie. Okay. Now down here, you know, that ear, I think I drew that pretty well, but I got a little chalk outside that ear. And so I'm cleaning that up too. And here on this edge of this neck. Okay, now let me give you another piece of advice here. Now I have, as you can see here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have various eraser crumbs on my zombie. Now I can do three things. One, I can wipe them off with my hand, possibly smearing my zombie. That's a bad idea. I can always tap it at my desk. But another thing I can do, I can take my eraser, I kind of wipe it off on my hand, and then with my eraser I can press up and down on a little eraser crumb, and my eraser will pick it up, and then I can wipe off my eraser with my hand. So that's kind of a nice technique. If you have a crumb that's not coming off your paper, like I have one right here at the top of his head, instead of me flicking it off with my finger, I press up and down with my eraser and grab that little crumb, take it off, without having to smear or get my zombie background all dirty. Okay. Now, if I'm at this point here, with a nice, light, smooth zombie, I've done fantastic, and I'm ready for my next step, which will be a little bit of shading and blending, but not today.